So being in community. So let's say we've identified our audience community. The next thing we need to do is how do we show up in these communities, right? How do we need to be there? How do we need to interact in these communities, right? Very key. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that we're in the right community. Okay, we did some research, right? We identified our audience. We showed up in these communities. Sometimes it's not right. The vibe is off. It's really not for us. The values don't align. It's not with the right community, and that's okay. Right. So we need to first one make sure that we're in the right space for us and based on the audience that we're trying to cultivate. Second thing we need to do is participate and offer value. We're going to get into this a little bit later, but one thing I tell my workshop participants is what is the offer? What is the ask? When we are in community, we need to offer value. We need to not just want to sell our product and service. We need to have something of value to offer someone else because we're ultimately in a value exchange. Okay. So when we have an offer, we're offering value, but then we can also validate our ask in the same way. Okay. So we're just not taking from these communities. We are participating, we are engaging, we are offering something of value to someone else. And this can take shape in many different ways. This can be your newsletter, your event, your own workshop, your blog, a consultation, a trial, whatever. This can have so many different forms to it. But think about clearly how you are going into these communities and offering value to them. Next thing you want to do is establish yourself. Okay, who are you in these communities? How do you want to be seen? Are you a mentor? Are you a support? Are you a guide? Are you a thought leader? Are you an expert? Who are you as when you show up into these communities, right? And as you are consistent in these communities, right, you need to be kind of like that known entity, right? That not in every community, right? Some communities you're sort of a passive observer, but you need to have at least one or two where you are an established entity in that community. People know you when you show up, right? You ever been into those network events and like everybody knows Bob? It's like, hey Bob, it's Bob over there. Hey Bob, like he that automatically gives you cachet, right? Because such and such knows Bob and trusts Bob, that makes Bob a trustworthy person, right? Like that, we want to have that cachet in some of these communities to then have people refer us, talk about us, share us, recommend us to other people. Okay, so this, in a few, one or two communities, you need to establish yourself enough where you're a known entity there. And then finally, we want to think about how we are going to, in these audience communities, funnel them off into our own community. That is an intention. That is purposeful. That's not happenstance. This doesn't happen. You need to be very intentional about it. So we're going to get into the offer and the ask will lead to how you funnel people into your own communities. All right, next. So putting these two things together is the audience community, right? And then kind of taking that and building your own community. So when we show up into these communities, we need to understand or need to know completely how we want to be seen. How do we want to show up? And show up as that person authentically, right? It's not a kind of mask or character you're putting on. This is your authentic self, right? Showing up there, but you want to be deliberate about it. Okay. So like I see myself as an educator. I like sharing information. So when I talk in networking groups and people tell me about what they do, I'm automatically thinking, how do I help their marketing? Like, how can we improve this? How can we make it better? Right. Like that's always what my thought process is. Right? We want to be in there to build relationships, make connections. We want to be seen as a resource. Okay. We want to be seen as somebody who is valuable asset to this community, right? They can use me for something. I am good at doing this. Okay. How do you position yourself as a resource? And always offer before you ask. Okay. Offer and ask. We're going to get into that in just a second. We're going to be in these audience communities and then we want to cipher them to building our own community. Okay. So the purpose and intention in being in these other communities is to also build our own. Okay. So we want to have a strong point of view. We need to have, there needs to be something about our community that is distinct and unique. Why would they be here versus anybody else? Okay. So what is your distinct, unique point of view? What is your distinct, unique offer? What is the unique value of being in the community? Think about that too as well. We want to encourage interaction and engagement, right? So how are you going to interact with these people? How are you going to engage with people in your community? And how are you going to empower, and support them? That's what's going to make a thriving community, engaged community, and not just a bunch of like just plop people together who you just talk at relentlessly. And that's not a community. How are you going to engage them and support them?